you are of the Liberal Party.
I am of the Liberal Party, yes.
Are they looking for a new leader?
I think they might be, John.
Sir, may I recommend to you, with your charm and debonair wit, yet strong financial backbone, that you offer yourself have you offered yourself as leader?
I just started thinking about it when you brought it up.
That's Mark Carney with a soft announcement that he's running for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. Of course, that's The Daily Show, an American late night show. Comedy show, entertainment show, I'm not quite sure. 20 minutes with a boring central banker. Doesn't sound too entertaining to me, but it was a political decision, not a genuine commercial or audience building decision by that network. Could you imagine, though, a Canadian Conservative announcing their leadership for the Canadian Conservative Party on, say, I don't know, Fox News? It would be called unpatriotic because it is. If you're running for the leadership of Canada, why are you telling foreigners first? Why are you letting a foreign comedian journalist grill you? It wasn't really a grilling now, was it? It's a vanity move to show that you are loved by the Hollywood elite. It's a flex of some sort, I guess. Nearly 20 minutes long. That is not a genuine show. Obviously, this was paid for in some way. That is not entertainment for the U.S. mass market. No one in America knows who Mark Carney is. He was the leader of the Bank of Canada, then the Bank of England, then he was involved in the World Economic Forum. No one in America knows who he is. That was not genuine TV. That was a product placement. I wonder if it'll be counted as a campaign expense, like my book, The Libranos, was, and I was prosecuted for it. Same thing, though, with Trudeau's recent vanity appearance on Stephen Colbert's show. No one in America really cares about Justin Trudeau other than as a punchline and a joke. They know him as the people kind guy. But remember, these shows are bought and sold. Remember when Stephen Colbert did this obvious product placement for Pfizer? Remember this? Deeply embarrassing. Yeah, well, this is what they've decided to do. It was really weird for Mark Carney. I mentioned that he was formerly the head of the Bank of England and the head of the Bank of Canada. He was at the finance department in Canada. He's involved with the United Nations. He was on the board of directors of the World Economic Forum. What a bizarre attempt to call himself an outsider. Yeah, that's what he said.
A wild hypothetical. Let's say the candidate wasn't part of the government. Let's say the candidate did have a lot of economic experience. Let's say the candidate did deal with crises. Let's say the candidate had a plan to deal with the challenges in the here and now.
Sneaky, you're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
Wow, that's all. So you're going to be coming in there to say, I have not been in the government. I have worked in the financial markets. I understand all the things that go around trade.
Not only has he had these masters of the universe jobs. He worked for Goldman Sachs. He went to Harvard and then to Goldman Sachs and then all these master of the universe jobs. But he's actually been a financial advisor to Justin Trudeau and the Liberals for close to 5 years. He's officially led some economic growth council for Trudeau for months, and I presume he still does right now. He's an insider, as if there ever was one. And the other ultimate insiders, Katie Telford, Trudeau's chief of staff, and Gerald Butts, his best friend since college, they're working the phones for Mark Carney. By the way, Mark Carney's wife, who's even more radical an environmentalist than he is, works in New York at the Eurasian Group with Gerald Butts, and they're getting big government contracts from Canada down there in New York. It's so corrupt. Mark Carney is not so much an outsider as someone who regards himself as above us. I think that's what he means when he says he's an outsider. He has never had a difficult blue-collar job. He's never been a guy who drives his own car. He's always had a driver. He is someone who shops for him. So when he says an outsider, I think he means he's an above-er. He's above us. Really weird. He grew up in the Northwest. He's born in Northwest Territories. Grew up somewhat modestly. Went to school in Edmonton before going to Harvard. But he collected passports. He's one of these international jet setters. He's got a UK passport. He's got an Irish passport.
Mark, you look like you were about to.
Yeah, it was a tell.
As a European, as a
European, I am a European, actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
oh.
I'm an Irish citizen. Yeah. So there you
welcome.
go.
Welcome.
Speaking as a European, I like to say following.
But really, he's not rooted anywhere, is he? He is a master of the universe. That's what he means when he says he's an outsider. He doesn't know local politics. He's never knocked on a door. And last night's interview was not a real interview. I think the reason why both Trudeau and Carney have gone to American softball interviews is because they don't want to answer tough questions. Trudeau does, and Carney both don't want to answer the questions about what the heck happened with Chrystia Freeland. Why is the country pro-road? Are they cutting another dirty deal with the NDP? Any real questions that Canadians want to know, and that even a CBC journalist these days might even ask? No way. Go to that clown, Jon Stewart on The Daily Show. He'll tell a few yucks. It was so scripted. There was a moment where he talked about Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, and his approach is to criticize Poilievre, is to say Poilievre is someone who has been in politics his whole life and doesn't know how to do anything. Now, there is a grain of truth to that. Pierre Poilievre has been an MP since his 20s, and in a way that is all he's done in his life. That's also true about Mark Carney, of course. He has been in the Department of Finance and then Bank of Canada and Bank of England. That's government too. The difference, if I may, is that one of them has got the approval of the democratic system by being elected again and again and again, by having to knock on doors and do the church circuit and synagogue circuit and mosque circuit, to do the farmers market circuit, to do the Rotary Club circuit, to have to actually listen to ordinary people. Pierre Poilievre has been in elected politics his whole life, and Mark Carney has been in selected politics his whole life. He seeks to impose himself on the people, not to get approval from the people. I think that Mark Carney's attacks felt weak. He's had a lot of time to prepare his talking points. They didn't feel particularly strong. I thought this was a little weird when he said that Pierre Poilievre tried to take our rights away during COVID or tried to take our money away. I didn't quite get it. Pierre Poilievre was in opposition during COVID. Well, what do you make of this?
I'll say this.
Yes.
There is a type of politician. You have a few of them here in the United States. I think we just
Stop it.
Yeah. They had a lot in and around Brexit.
Yes.
And we have Mr. Poilievre. In Canada, a type of politician who's, tend to be a lifelong politician.
Really?
Tend to worship the market. They've never actually worked in the private sector.
Right.
And they see opportunity in tragedy, like you just had with the California fires, these horrible fires.
Correct.
And they see opportunity in tragedy to push an agenda that, here's one they prepared earlier,
right.
and they fit it in. And so whether it was Brexit, here often, the starve the beast type approach. So Pierre Poilievre, when COVID started, his reaction was, this is a good time to cut spending and cut taxes. Everyone's just been pushed out of a job. Nobody's got work, so let's cut the taxes on the work they don't have, and let's take away the social safety net when everybody's vulnerable.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did that work out for you? Were people out of their
fortunately,
home?
he was in opposition, so.
Oh, that was his idea.
That was his idea. Yeah.
I think he just sort of made that up as some sort of weird applause line. Poilievre was not in power, and I don't think he did those things that Mark Carney accused him of. But how would Jon Stewart know? He wouldn't know enough to ask a follow-up question. Now, the reaction by the regime media to this appearance, it was positively erotic. They were thrilled. And I can understand why. Justin Trudeau is hated across the country. It's like when Joe Biden had that disastrous debate with Donald Trump. Remember that? Here's my favorite line when Trump said, I don't know what he was saying, and I don't think he did either. Remember that line? Take a look.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
That debate was so atrocious that every Democrat and every Democrat journalist in America at the same time said, oh my God, we're going to get slaughtered. We've got to get rid of that guy. And I think we're in the same position in Canada with Justin Trudeau. And so the expectations of the regime are so low that to see someone else talk about the party without some of the blemishes on them, to see anyone other than Justin Trudeau talk like a leader, everyone was thrilled to see it.